In Argentina, you can expect to find the license plate, looking like they have a black dot in the middle. It actually looks like it because of the blur. The license plates in Argentina are actually with a black background and white letters on both sides. As you can see on this picture, you have letters on the left, numbers on the right, such a mix like this with a line around, and the blur makes it look like there is a black dot in the middle, but it is actually the opposite. Welcome everybody, I am Nate. It is a pleasure to have you here. We're gonna go through a number of tips and tricks today for GeoGuessr, essentially for GeoGuessr country streaks. If you like the content, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's move on. Staying in Argentina, the easiest way to recognize the country in comparison, for example, to Chile or Bolivia is the black car being used to go around the streets and street view all the streets. So you can see here, it's not going to look like this all the time. Sometimes it is a little bit more tricky to identify it, but the car will be black and you will be able to see it at the back. There are also other cars being used, essentially in the city, etc. But if you are outside of the city and it is a little bit more tricky to recognize where you are, the black car will be a good indication that you are in Argentina. Which is a perfect segue to the neighboring country, Chile. Chile is using a white car. Very easy to recognize as well. Looking at the back of the car here, you see that it is very white, a very plain white car. Very easy to recognize. Now, sometimes when you go north, you might also see the same car in Peru, so we need to be careful, especially when we are north of the country. But matching the landscape, matching the signs, for example, the car, all these information together for country streaks will allow you to guess Chile in this example. Staying in Chile very rapidly, it is very important to note that in Chile, the plates are white. White, very white, and they look white even with the blur. And when you get the chance to see an unblurred plate, it is written Chile on it. Now, of course, it is never easy to find an unblurred plate, but it's always good to know. Talking about plates, let's stay in South America and head to Colombia. Colombia, one of the only countries in South America that will have yellow plates. Now, the Colombian plates are evolving, and little by little, you will see more and more white plates and other colors as well. But in the past, up until, I think, 2015 or something like this, the plates were yellow for the public, the general public. You might see some white plates that are for taxis or for official cars, and there is some green plates, there is some orange plates as well, but the main plates that you will see will be yellow. If you see a bunch of yellow plates in a South American country, there is a very, very high chance you're in Colombia. And if you get the chance to see an unblurred plate in Colombia, you should know that at the bottom of it, you will find the closest city, the closest region that it is part of, or that it is immatriculated in. It depends, I don't know exactly, but at least you will find an indication of the region in which you are, which will allow you to confirm, if you're playing country streaks, to simply confirm that you are in Colombia, or if you're playing 5Ks, or if you're playing other game modes, to get as close as possible to your final destination. Staying in the Americas, one of my favorite tips in Central North America, it depends where you put it, is in Mexico. Mexico will have signs, just as you can see on the screen right now, telling you which kilometer of the road you are on. So here in this example, we are on kilometer 90, and which road obviously you are on. But it literally says Mexico on top. It's very easy peasy to recognize. Now, sometimes you will see both of those signs separated, which means that you will see a kilometer sign just by itself, a very small white outline, very simple KM 90, and another one that says, a tiny one, that says, for example, Road 49 in Mexico. In this example, both are on the same, so it's actually easier. But this is the best way to recognize that you are in Mexico in country streaks. Now, of course, what would be a tips and tricks video about GeoGuessr on Mexico without talking about the unique taxis of Mexico, especially Mexico City? They're very easy to recognize. It literally states Ciudad de Mexico on top of it. Or if you're a little bit from afar, they're pink and white, as you can see on the screen, very easy to spot. As you can see, we can see them from afar. If you see that, you're in Mexico, that's unique. Or if you're close enough, Ciudad de Mexico, you're in Mexico, Mexico City, or the surroundings. And here is a shot from behind, if you wish. moving on east or west, depending which direction you want to go to, but we are moving to Mongolia. Mongolia, one of my favorite countries on GeoGuessr, first of all, because it is very easy to recognize due to what we have on top of the car. We've already covered that in the past, and we have bars, we have the snorkel, but here it is a little bit hidden for some reason, and we have this whole package on top, probably tents, probably living stuff for the people traveling to do the street view, of course. But something very easy to recognize also, it is the landscape. Now, why am I talking about the landscape in Mongolia? It is unique. And I just wanted to stop by here and say, isn't that a beautiful country? I think it is a beautiful country. Let's move on. No, but in all seriousness, of course, I wanted to show this landscape for a very specific reason. In Russia, when you get close to Mongolia, north of Mongolia, in Russia, you will find the same type of landscape. Of course, it is a little bit more green, it is a little bit, there is more road, there is more people, of course. But that will allow you to, for example, recognize Russia compared to Mongolia. You may have the same landscape, but you don't have anything on top of the car, and it is a little bit more populated. We see here a car, even though we're right outside of Mongolia. Talking about beautiful landscape, let's go west and let's move to Iceland, of course. Iceland is a beautiful country where we will find a very specific alphabet. Of course, you will see those letters here that I'm going to try to put on the screen for better visibility. But there is that letter that looks like a D with a bar inside. There are other letters as well. There are other types of accents that you would put on A, on O, and E. This will allow you very easily to recognize that it is Iceland. We can also very easily recognize Iceland thanks to those yellow signs. So alphabet, yellow signs, and yellow bollard with that white, kind of white-gray reflecting tape on top. We are in Iceland, 100% Iceland. Now, but you might tell me, you're cute, Nate, but Faroe Islands also use the same type of alphabet. And you would be right, I am cute. And they are using the same alphabet, of course. But they're also using the O with a bar inside that Iceland is not using. And they're also using, on top of the car, bars. In Faroe Islands, you will find some bars on top of the car used all across the country. So if you have the possibility to find this alphabet and the bars on top of the car, and usually if you just see this landscape, beautiful Nordic landscape with the bars on top of the car, you will be in the Faroe Islands, which is associated with Denmark in country streaks. So don't be scared. Greenland, Denmark, and Faroe Islands are all combined together in country streaks. It scares at first, but it's okay. Staying north, let's focus on Canada and the USA. Now you might say, but it's quite easy to recognize them. Is it? Is it? I don't think it is. It is actually very, very hard. Canada is using a very specific sign for speed limits. You will see in Canada that it says maximum, while in the USA it says speed limit. In Canada, for example, you will have these two signs. So we have the maximum 100, or you also have the maximum 100 km/h. In the USA, you will only find speed limit with the number associated to it. And of course, we're talking here in miles per hour. That's also a very good indication, because if you see on the road that we're talking about 90 miles per hour might be a little bit too much. Okay, 60 miles per hour is a little bit better, but 90 miles per hour, oh, that's going too fast, my friend. That is going too fast. So you will see also, if you're on a large road and you see afar, if you're playing no move and you see afar 90, there is a very, very, very high chance that you are in Canada and not in the USA. And also, just a quick note, in the USA, you will very, very often see USA American flags, of course. In Canada, you will see some flags, Canadian flags, of course, but a little bit less often. So you have more chances to see USA American flags in the USA, and of course not in the other country, so it's easier to recognize. Let's move back to Europe and let's head to Albania. Now in Albania, there is something that I love. There is something that I love because it is unique. Hence, for country streaks, it's perfect. The street names are called Ruga. Ruga with two R's, R-R-U-G-A, which means street, I believe. So it is very, very easy to recognize. You will see Ruga Tomor Sisani in this example here, which is unique. You know this is in Albania. Now, sometimes it's a little bit more tricky, especially when you're in Tirani. You will see it shown as RR Bogdani or something like this, which might, from afar, look Italian. Now, be very careful. Of course, the signs look the same. Sometimes the language sounds the same, Albanian and Italian. You just need to take your time and make sure that you're making the right decision. And of course, this is not enough to recognize Albania. You will have in the sky most of the time, even though they are renewing all the coverage, most of the time you will have this bug that we call a rift, of course. So it is some kind of shadow on the right side here and some kind of literal bug here, which is coming from the miscombination of all the images together. Okay, or simply something on the camera lens. But this, matched with the landscape, matched with the language, with the signs, with everything, will let you know that this is in Albania. But now you might also say, but mate, I don't understand, because this that you're showing on the screen right now, those are exactly the same rifts as in Albania, but this is Montenegro. How do I recognize? And you would be absolutely correct, of course. Those are the same rifts. This is probably the same car being used in both territories. Now, of course, the best way to recognize it is the language, is using Cyrillic, for example, because we will have some signs in Cyrillic in Montenegro, okay? And some yellow signs as well, which I'm going to put on the screen right now and will be very easy to recognize compared to Albania. Now, of course, all those tips and tricks will become useful once you combine them together, because rare are the opportunities to just make a decision on one meta, one tip or one trick. But it is not uncommon either, because in Latvia, we will find the street names saying Jela. Jela means in Latvian street. Very simply, it means street. It's as easy as that. So if you see exactly what we are showing on the screen right now, that blue, dark blue sign, looking a little bit like the Vienna signs, for example, but saying Jela, 99.999% of the time you will be in Latvia. Which comes in comparison to Finland, for example, where we will have Thai. Now, Thai might not be only in Finland. You might have some examples, unlucky examples in other countries as well, so that's why you need to gather all the information as much as possible. But Thai will be most of the time, 99% of the time, in Finland. A very simple trick is that in Finland we were a Thai. You're welcome. And very quickly, coming back to Latvia, there is something that I forgot to write in my list that I'm just adding now. In Latvia, 5 windows are added to the bus signs. Now you might think, okay, well fine, what do I do with that? But this is unique, because if you compare to its neighbors, of course, only to the 2 neighbors, Estonia and Lithuania, the 2 other countries will have 4, while in Latvia we have 5. So if you're on a street, very long street, no sign, nothing, but you see a bus sign that has 5, that's Latvia. It is Latvia. Finishing up very quickly with 2 extra, they're free, but they're quite common, so we know them. 2 extra little tips and tricks for Africa. In Nigeria, you will see that you are being followed all the time. Remember, in the previous video, you were followed in Tunisia. But here in Nigeria, we are followed by a car. Now, there are many, many different cars chasing us, I want to believe, but it's more protecting us, I believe. We have here a cop car from the police, very simply. There is also a kind of black car. There is also a kind of dark gray, a little bit taupe car following us as well. I really invite you to go on to geohints.com and have a look at all the possible cars that you can find in the country. And last but not least, you might see this and think, oh, this is Ghana. No, we don't have the black tape. This is not Ghana, of course not. This might look like a lot of different countries from this perspective. But what really matters here is what's happening in the sky. In the sky, we have what I called the bird. The bird meta. Now, what's the bird meta? In my opinion, this looks like a bird. Okay. When you have this rift in the sky, this bug, I'm sorry, you know that you are in Senegal. This is unique to Senegal, of course. So here, if you combine the bars on top of the car and the bird meta, or simply the bird meta, because the bars will not be placed in all the coverage of the country, you know that you are in Senegal. And thank you very much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and leave a comment. Let me know what I missed, and let me know what other country you would like me to focus on next time. Subscribe to the channel. This will be greatly appreciated for more GeoGuessr and exploration content, and find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/nateexplorers. And on my side, I will see you in other videos very soon, so thank you very much. Have a good one, bye bye.